welcome to the Scottish Silverback Podcast. This is episode 10, so we've managed to kind of keep these rolling and keep these consistent. So, and this week we're joined by Rego and Jason Long, or known as Jase. It's at 345 on Instagram, and two of the industry's kind of top coaches. So it's and obviously great bodybuilders themselves. So it's good to have these two boys on and chatting the shit and kind of just seeing where the conversation takes us. So I'm not sure if you boys have seen anything that we've done so far, but mate, we just kind of get a wee bit of conversation flowing and just keep it kind of nice and natural. There's nothing worse than podcasts that are scripted and like you can tell they're kind of just all ready to go with questions and that. So we'll just get the chat going.
Yeah.
So
we'll just want to kind of give us a little bit intro about yourselves, like when you started in bodybuilding, what you guys do, all that kind of stuff. So Jamie, do you want to go first?
Jamie can go first. Please let me lead. So I started bodybuilding when I started training at 15. My first competition was 17. I've actually competed against Andy. I think we competed against each other in 2014.
Yeah, that was my worst year so far, yeah.
That wasn't a great year for me either, so we'll forget about 2014.
Yeah, fuck it, yeah. We'll just do we had a good time.
We got better as we got older, so
exactly, yeah.
That was shit in 2014.
Oh, you know? Fuck that big time, mate. That was my year that I fucked completely, so
yeah. The most talked about topic on this podcast.
I know, yeah, the fucking 2014 Arnold and that, yeah. It's a touchy subject, so.
So we'll forget the year 2014.
Right off.
Absolutely.
Yes, I've been bodybuilding since that. 2011 was my first show. I competed in the natural scene, did the worlds as a natural. Then obviously I stepped up to, the UK BFF after a few sort of PCA shows. I turned pro in 2019. And then, I've done my pro debut in New Zealand. I've made top 5 there. And then I'll forget about 2020 as well. 2020 wasn't a very good year for me either. But that's the good thing about bodybuilding. We just learn. You mess up and you just kind of learn. And, the whole Corona thing was a bit of a nightmare because obviously, I went to Kuwait actually and was in oxygen for a while with the team there. And I looked my best going into that March show. And actually, Jase was prepping at the same time. We were training together in the oxygen Abu Dhabi. And that was my best look. And then, the show got cancelled 6 days out, I believe, when we were meant to fly to New Zealand. And then it was one of those where you're like, do I carry on prep, do I not? And I just carried on going. And by the end of 2020, my body was pretty fucked. So it wasn't the best look for me at all. But it's a learning curve, and you live and learn from those type of things. So I'm sure this year, if I do step on stage, it'll be much, much better.
Nice.
Jason,
all right, so I've been competing probably since 2016, since 2016, let's say. I've pretty much been competing. I've done, I think, 8 or 9 shows now, always hovering between 2 classes because I'm not as big as Andy. So still running away from supers. No, so I did Classic last year. Obviously, I prepped at the start of the year with Jamie, as we did. We prepped for New Zealand. And then I prepped at the end of the year for Pro Qualifying Classic because I still feel like my physique is... I get heavy, but I still don't think it's complete for a super. I think it's good, but it's not... I don't compete to just be, good. So, and then we prepped for Spain. I lost my passport 4 weeks out. So we just jumped in the show 4 weeks earlier. And we still looked, it's quite annoying because it was the best I've ever looked, but I've still never looked 100 because I've not... jumping in a few weeks early and stuff, you rush the process. So I'm just excited on what I do next to look 100. So yeah, I've been competing about 5 or 6 years and helping people pretty much along the way, as I started to compete.
Yeah. Jamie, you were probably one of the first kind of people to get really onto the online coaching scene, really, like when there was not really the kind of, let's say, the social media, what it is now, and you can kind of publicize yourself in that way. How did you kind of get into it from that? Like, obviously, how did you manage to promote your name so much when there wasn't that kind of scene to put it out there?
You know, I think I just started at the right time. And I think, like, you know, I was, in a sense, you know, before online coaching became a thing, I was already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, I remember when I started, and it was literally a random guy who followed me. He was like, "Do you do online coaching?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And that's how it pretty much started. So, you know, one client became 2 clients, 2 clients became 4, and it just built it up through there. But I was lucky enough that, you know, 10 years later, because I've been doing it for nearly 10 years, my name's quite established in the scene as an online coach, just because I've been around for a long time. And I think when you put in consistent results out year in, year out, you know, people take note, because at the end of the day, you can't, if you put in something consistent 24/7, then people see it. You know, I've got thousands of transformations just from over the years. But I guess I was just got into it at the right time. Like these days now, everyone's put an online coach. And I follow your stories on Instagram, and you get a lot of these coaches who have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind when they're offering advice. Like I look at my stories every day on Instagram, and I'm thinking, I feel so sorry for the clients that they're working with. Because
yeah, we've spoken about this obviously, but I mean, like, your IG is just like transformation after transformation after transformation, and they're all brilliant. And like, you see these people who are like, I'm not going to say busy because they're not, but they seem to get clients, and they've done one show and almost came like dead last, and like they're still getting people sign up with them. They've got no, I mean, they didn't even prep themselves. They've done nothing themselves. They've got no knowledge, no background. It's like, what are these people doing? Like what are they seeing in this person to go, I'm going to give you my money. I'm giving my money to you prep me. It's mental.
You know what's real scary is the drug side and the PED side of things, because I mean, I've seen some of there's coaches here, bro, like coaches here that I see on Instagram. Obviously, I'm not going to name any names, but they're so clueless when it comes to that. And I know they're giving the clients PED advice, and I think, fuck me, what is the blood work going to come out? Because these guys don't have a clue how to rectify blood work, how to do, you know, a proper cycle. It blows my mind, and it's scary, man. It's scary.
It's scary. It's something you don't, obviously, it's like, I mean, nobody wants to mess with drugs. That's something that if that goes wrong, I mean, that's fucking going wrong in a big way. So when people are giving advice to like people who are putting trust in them, it's not funny. It's not even like something you should be kind of going out there and saying, I'm an online coach, when you've got no experience in that. That's scary, man.
I totally agree, man. And I think that's something that definitely needs to change in the industry. But I don't think it ever will, because at the moment, a lot of guys are just hammering social media and marketing, and that's how they're selling themselves, and that's how they're bringing in the clients. And it's great if you're, you know, a lifestyle coach, you're just working with, you know, the average Joe, I can understand it. But when you're trying to take competitors to stage, I think you need some type of experience, some type of knowledge. Otherwise, you're just playing with fire, because how long is it down the line until you're going to get down the line and you're going to realize that all these clients have massive health issues?
100%, 100%. Also, I say as well, Jase, obviously you've been coached by Jamie, and obviously, I would say over the last like maybe 2 years, your name has just obviously came up everywhere, and you've obviously created a business yourself as being very successful. How would you say, like, obviously you kind of went from where you were to that kind of way in 2 years?
Yeah, so I've been doing it for 4 years, but it kind of took off 2 years ago. And I'll be very honest, like, I sort of had a mindset, and I just said, I need to be everywhere. You know, I remember 2017, I went to every single show in the UK BHF. Like, people don't see, I went to every single show, you know, and I was working with my other coach I worked with, Rob Team LRF. And I would just go to the show and I'd be like, why is he eating Haribo? Or why is he eating carbs? Or, no, but I'd go, and like, I laugh now, but I'd go, and he used to look at me like, you are a fucking retard. But you know what? I'd go every single week. I'd go to Newcastle and back in the day, and I'd be like, oh, I just want to see how you peak everyone differently. You know, so people are like, oh, it goes so well. But, you know, even now, I don't have to go to shows, but I go to every show, and it's not essentially for my client. I went to the last show, and the first thing I said to Martin Winston, I said, what did you Carb Lewis breed on? because I've just always been like, I need to find out these things, because you can never stop learning.
Of course.
You know, so in 2016, I went to every show. Luckily, Team LRF was still doing very well back then, so I started to know a lot of people through him. So there's a massive credit to him. But you know, that's how it sort of started. You go to shows, you network, you mingle. I put out 1 or 2 results. Oh yeah, oh, he's helped this person get in shape. So it's just for me, it was a massive networking circle from, you know, it sounds cliche, but putting in the groundwork by not investing cash, but investing my time by going to these shows. And, you know, at that age, I must have been 21, 22. I didn't have a lot of cash around me. So, you know, I was going out my own pocket, going to shows, you know, and just like soaking information. Even, you know, I can talk about it on here, but I never knew what a diuretic was. But, yo, why'd you do this? How'd you do this? So it was a case of, you know, I was very fortunate in the circle I was in, you know, because that's pretty much how I got introduced to a lot of people in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, hands-on is going to be far more knowledgeable than trying to read in a book of anything. Because I mean, when you start seeing like how people can change and adapt to certain things, I mean, that actually learns you. When you can read in a book, I mean, it may not fucking work in real life. So how you went about it is obviously a very dedicated way, and obviously it's very inspiring how much work you put in to get to where you are.
Yeah, it was a ball ache going to Newcastle and back in the day, but it's obviously now it's sort of like paid off. But then I still attend. Like even now, the other day I went, I said, "Oh, what's Lewis Breed's car up?" You know, just because I'm curious and I always want to learn. So I am fortunate, but for me, it was putting myself in the right networking circles that helped massively.
Yeah, definitely.
Jase, can we just confirm that you're actually in the UK? Because I can never tell where you are in the world.
I am in the UK for the foreseeable.
He'll be back in Dubai in a week, I'm telling you. He says this, he rings me last week or 2 weeks ago, "Oh, I'm catching my flight to Dubai today." I said, "What?" I said, "When?" He's like, yeah, I'm just at the airport now. This is Jase.
Yeah, I'm very...
You do have a house in Dubai though, don't you?
No, I got rid of it. I got Jamie's house. I got Jamie's. No, I'm spontaneous. So, but for now, because I like, even now, like people say to me, "Oh, you don't have to go to the shows," but I just like to, like, I'm a people's person. I like to be at the shows.
Yeah, I think you're both. I would say you're both very obviously. You want to see your clients more than just like sitting. What most online coaches will do, sit at home and like.
Yeah, because only yesterday Jamie told me. It's only yesterday that Jamie called me and said, "Oh, I'm going to come to the British," or I think it was the British, or the show in a few weeks. So yeah, it's similar because it's like, you know, if you don't turn up to the shows or be personal, essentially you're just working an office job.
Yeah.
There's a sense of accomplishment, like seeing that end result, and you know, so you know, I do understand not everyone can make it, but if you can, it's always better to, you know, because I get DMs now. You're going to be at the show? Okay,
M25. I was just in slow-mo.
Right, totally. Okay, it's fine.
This is the fucking technical difficulty show.
I remember Andy left because his Wi-Fi's not working, so but he's back.
It's just me and you, mate.
I know. Good to share ourselves.
I'm here, mate.
He's back.
Yeah, he's semi-back.
I'm here.
No, like I was saying, you're both very dedicated coaches, obviously, to your clients, and I guess that obviously speaks volumes to clients. Like when, I mean, say you're a first timer, you kind of want your coach at a show to be there for you. I mean, it's your first time, you're going to be a bit nervous. So having coaches at your show is obviously massive. If you guys are putting that out there for clients, I mean, that's going to be work for you guys because that's what people want. So I guess that's how you guys have obviously done quite well for yourselves in the business.
Yeah, definitely. And even me, I'm in Dubai now, but you know, I have plans to obviously travel to shows this year. Went to the British last year, went to the Ben Weeder. So I try to get to the shows when I can. I just try to make sure that all my clients do you know, I have a large client base in one show because then it's worth my while to come. Because at the end of the day, I pay for my flights. You know what I mean? My clients don't pay for my flight for the show. So, you know, I'm planning to get to the Graftism show, the Arnold Classic, and then there's the Charles Clermont the week after. And then I believe Jase has some new plans to compete. So, you know, I'll follow him to his shows. And
that show exclusive.
Hey, this is a show exclusive. This is the most spontaneous guy. You know, I get a call last night. Bro, I've been looking at the calendar all night for the last few days. What shows do you think I should do? And I'm like, okay, let's just sit down and plan this properly. So
maybe he's just my babysitter.
Yeah, so you know, I'll be going to. I look forward to going to a few of the shows, and you know, obviously Corona's been a bit of a nightmare because the UK put Dubai on the red list, which has made it a bit more of a nightmare for me to travel because of 10-day quarantine.
Yeah.
So you know, hopefully by another few months that'll be lifted and we can start traveling to shows again and go from there. But let's see. Never know with the UK, I guess.
What made you make the move to Dubai from the UK?
You know what? It was a funny story because I come here on holiday. I came back to UK for a week and I was like, I'm so depressed.
Fuck this.
I was like, I literally said to Steph, I said, should we just go for like 3-4 months? So we booked a hotel apartment for 3-4 months and I never came back. I got my friend to move my stuff out of the house in the UK, because I still had the house in the UK. I just said to him, bro, just get rid of everything. I left everything, bro. I just left absolutely everything and I just moved here.
And the car.
Just the lifestyle. The lifestyle is just so much better here. And, you know, the respect for bodybuilding, I'm sure you saw it, Andy, when you were here. They just have such more of a respect for bodybuilders on every aspect, like, and they cater for bodybuilders. Like, you can go out to most restaurants and eat your meal, and it's, I don't know, here there's just a bigger sort of respect for it. You know, there's no people like looking down at you for taking what we take, and do you know what I mean? You don't get none of that. It's all positive, and it helps so much to allow your physique to grow, in my opinion. And the quality, I believe, is so much better here. So, you know, that's also a big bonus.
I think for me, I think obviously Dubai's where a lot of like successful business people are, like no matter what industry it is. And I think the people who are clued up in whatever industry they're in, they recognize that a well-built physique takes a lot of time and effort, and I think an entrepreneur or someone who's kind of doing well in their career, no matter what, can recognize that, and I think that's where that kind of respect comes from. So, yeah,
there's just a lot more positivity here, you know, and it does make life much more enjoyable. You don't get like, you know, like when you wake up in the UK and it's dark and gloom and everyone's depressed, and it's just, you don't get none of that here. Everyone's always, you know, happy, friendly. Like, you go into the gyms, everyone's friendly. Like, you'd have seen it yourself when you're in, you know, the gyms here, everyone says hello. It's totally different vibe compared to back in the UK, which is great for, you know, bodybuilding. So the only thing is here, you know, if you're one of those guys who struggles with prep and cheating on the diet, you'd be fucked here, because the you know, delivery's got everything on, like cheesecake.
Oh, it's fucking mental.
It's ridiculous. But you've got both ends of the spectrum. You've got like the ability to go out and eat clean, and then you've also got the you know, the temptations there as well. But you know, we're experiencing what we do, so I guess we don't really struggle like that. But you know, I could imagine some guys just can't fucking diet to save their life here.
Yeah, definitely.
You feel moving to, well, obviously with over time you would have progressed as a coach anyway, but do you feel moving to Dubai was a massive jump for, like, do you think you'd be where you are now if you were still in the UK?
Say that again, sorry. Or is this Jase?
Like, obviously, like, no matter what, over time you should keep like progressing as a coach. You should get better and you should become more successful. But do you believe like the move to where you are made you obviously where you are now, or do you think you would have still been the same if you were back in the UK?
I think it definitely helped, because I think it here kind of makes you level up in a sense. And you know, the lifestyle that you live here, obviously it's more expensive, you know, but it's a better lifestyle. And I believe that, you know, some people that are looking in will buy into that lifestyle in a sense. But I believe being here has definitely made me work harder because you see what you can have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's all around you all the time.
Yeah, it's like your goals start to become bigger, and as a natural thing, you just progress. And I just find here, because of the energy from everyone else here, like Andy was saying, it's full of a lot of successful people, and you start to try. It just makes you elevate. Like, it was the best move I've ever done coming here, because I believe it just made me elevate in every aspect of my life. Business through online coaching, but also creating other businesses and trying to create other avenues. And that's massively helped, being here, because you're surrounded with a lot of it.
Yeah, I think it's just like, obviously the same as anything. Like, obviously, if you surround yourself with like positive people or really driven people, even in the gym, you're going to train harder. You're going to try and push yourself harder than them, and vice versa. So it's like, I guess anything, like, if you put yourself in a position where you have to be successful or do better, you are going to be. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Jase, do you see yourself kind of bouncing between Dubai and the UK, or do you think you're going to ever be permanently out there?
I'm definitely. Oh, is it Jase or me?
It's,
either. Well, Jase first, and then you, Jamie.
This ain't the fucking Jamie podcast, you know what I mean? I can see myself bouncing back and forth for two reasons. I'm quite a people's person. So like I said, if I'm writing diets with them and I'm not seeing clients, I feel like I work an office job. But secondly, I'll be honest, like when I'm with Jamie, physique-wise, he brings the best out of me. We both know when you train together, it's a different to when you train alone. In that sense, and the only way, because my physique was always all right, but the only way it's got where it is now is like surrounding myself with Jamie every day, because this guy will tell me off for using too much ketchup. So like I was always like, yeah, this is all right, but then you realize, like, Jamie's a pro, there's a different standard, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I will always bounce between the two, because I like to go away and have my own focus, because in London, it's a bit different to Scotland. Like, I've just left the gym now. I've said hi to 30 people. I'm off to another gym. I'll say hi to 20 people. But when I go there, I've got 5 or 6 people, so I can just focus on myself. So my enjoyment for training goes much higher. So my physique progresses quicker. Mm-hmm. And then I like to pop up and just be at the shows and be a bit personable. So I always bounce between the two, 100%. And I've done that pretty much for 13, 14 months now. And it's seen go well. And from a business point of view, it's seen business go well, because people are like, weren't you in Dubai last week? You've come back for the show. And I've been like, obviously I've come back for family, the show, but so it's sort of complemented each other. And now I've actually got quite a few Dubai clients from it. Because I sort of look at everything as an investment. Like, even my physique, if I'm out, like, it may sound like, if I'm out of shape, I'm my brand. So I look at everything like an investment in that sense. Like, if I was to do a prep, my prep I literally flew to Jamie for a check-in and didn't come back.
See?
I'll be hovering between the two for sure. But like, if it's ever prep, I'd go straight back out there, because I can wake up tomorrow, go post office, say hi to Tony. Out there, it's like, it's prep, get up, train, sleep, eat, everything. Yeah. You can get your meals made in the gym. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, 100%. What about you, Jamie? Do you see yourself kind of ever coming back, or is that you settled until?
I'm here for good, man. I'm here for good. But I'll come back to shows,
Yeah.
I'll definitely come back, as much as I can for client shows, but I can't see myself living in the UK. I think I'd very much struggle with the lifestyle there now, because here you are spoiled in a sense. You have everything at your doorstep, so you have everything at your doorstep. So it'd be very hard for me to move back. And you babysat here, man. Like, I've got a maid in the house, you know what I mean? And things like that is just like, I can't go back to the UK. Like, Jase will know how good to my maid.
She peels his boiled eggs, mate.
Obviously, like, if I go to the gym, I'll go to the gym, I'll wear whatever I train at like 12, and whatever I've worn, by the time I had a shower straight after training, it'll be in my, it'll be folded, ironed, and in my, my wardrobe that night. So just things like this, bro. Like you just get very, very comfortable with the lifestyle here, and you almost get lazy. But as bodybuilders, it makes our life so much easier, you know, and just not having all that little extra stress here and there. You know, like I never have to worry about the missus, like, or the wife having to go at me about the dishes because the maid's done it already. You know what I mean? Things like that. It just makes life 10 times easier. When I was in the UK, that's all the stick I got. Jamie needs to sort out this and that. Now it's just like, leave my plate and it's done. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it'd be very hard for me to go back now. And just the level of service here and, you know, with everything we do is another level. So I feel like, you know, when I go back to UK, it's hard to adjust to back to sort of reality in a sense, because you are in a sense in a bubble here. Do you know what I mean? But I can't see myself coming back. I'll stay in that bubble.
Nah, I need to get Reagan to step up our game.
Yeah.
Gonna get a maid in the south side of Glasgow.
Fucking steal all your stuff.
I know. My watches will be fucking gone.
The place will flat be raided. The question I was actually going to ask, Jamie, obviously you are quite known for obviously your intense training, but also the amount of volume you probably do in your training. Were you always like that, or did somebody teach you that long way? Because I know you used to have, was it 2 coaches before when you used to stay back in Wales?
Yeah. So I worked with Mike and Lisa for a very long time. I've trained with them since 2014. Yeah. And you'll know Mike and Lisa from the UK BFF days. Yeah. You know, we had judges. They helped Flex in the past. You know, they've helped some really good bodybuilders, and that's kind of all I knew from when I was younger. You know what I mean? Especially since I started training them in 2014, so that's nearly 7 years ago. So it's kind of the only style that I've ever known to train. And, you know, over the years, I've adapted it and I've made it a little bit smarter. Like now, the way I train is much smarter than, say, I would have trained in 2014, 15. I probably would have taken the volume way too high. You know, in between when I was in Oxygen, they were huge on volume. Yeah. But it kind of suited me in a sense. Yeah. But they're crazy on volume there. You know, they're eight exercises, 9 exercises, and they just hammer, you know, 20, 15, 12, 10 drops there. But it kind of suited me at the time because it was like my body was already almost adjusted to it. But this year, like I was, you know, a bit adamant to sort of be a bit smarter with my training because I'm getting older. I'm not old, right? But like as we get older, you know, we're not invincible like we are when we're 21, 22. When I was 21, 22, it didn't matter what I did. Like Mike and Lisa would just kill me and I'd just roll with it. So now I'm, you know, a bit smarter with my training. I still say I do high volume, but I train twice a day, but I limit my workouts to say 4 exercises. So I'll do like back, like for example, I did back today, I did 4 exercises, and then shoulders today, 4 exercises at night. And I've just tried to kind of take the way I train, but almost make it beneficial to my recovery. Because back in the day, I probably would have done too much. Because one thing is when we trained in Oxygen start of 2020, you know, and everything sort of clicked there. We had one of the trainers there, Figo, used to train Wardani and a few of the pros there. And I worked with Chemo, used to train Rami, you know, and they were very high volume, but very basic. And then we started going to a local gym here called Oxygen. And this was actually just before I started dieting this year. And I don't know, like something wasn't clicking this year. Like when I first went there, we were in there and they were killing us with like 8 to 10 exercises. But you know, like when something doesn't feel right, obviously, as you guys know, every prep's different. Yeah. And when I was training like that way, this prep, I was like, this doesn't feel right. My body's battered. And I don't know whether it's just like, you know, I always say age catching up with me, but something just wasn't right. So I was like, right, I need to go back and reassess my training. And now everything's clicking perfectly. But, you know, that's why I always say, like, I don't believe in one method suits everyone. And I think, you know, especially at the time of your career where your body might feel like you've just got to be smart and you've got to make sure your training's clicking. And, you know, it clicked really well in 2021 as an option. Everything was just firing. And then this year, when I tried to do the same method, it just was like, nah, like my body was just like, this isn't working. You know what I mean? I was training, I was coming home and I was feeling like absolutely battered. So I was like, right, I need to reassess and, you know, go back to kind of how I used to train back in the day, but start being a bit smarter with it. And, you know, I've kind of gauged at like 4 to 5 exercises for my, like usually 4 exercises in the morning and 4 exercises at night seems to just be perfect for me because I enjoy the double splits. I don't know why, it keeps me, one, I never get hungry, you know, and that's one of the big things because I'm always busy. Like with me, when I'm dieting down, I like to be as busy as possible because I don't have to think.
Yeah.
So if I can just, you know, be smart with my training, I can still train twice a day and, you know, still get the recovery in I need, but just doing it in more of a smart way rather than just going into the gym and destroying myself.
Yeah.
So it seems to be, I mean, everything seems to be clicking really well right now. So, you know, when everything clicks, I just roll with it. And if I feel something's not clicking, you know, because I prep myself now. So if I feel something's not clicking, I'm like, why is it not clicking? You know, I have to assess why. Because the problem with me now is I struggle to listen to a coach because I'm always, in my head, I'm questioning why. You know what I mean? Because I've worked with a lot of guys. You know, I've worked with a CEO in the past for years. And I always found a CEO, like, I see he was a great coach, but I always find that I was never brought, I was always, when I worked with a CEO, I was always smaller. And then when I prepped myself in March, I was much bigger. And I was like, okay, it was always like me questioning things. And I wouldn't question him directly because I'm like, it's Chris. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm questioning him 24/7. But in my head, it didn't, a lot of things didn't, I would be like, why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And now I just struggle to work with a coach because I'm always like, well, I don't understand why I'm doing that. Because obviously I've got quite a lot of knowledge myself because I've done this for years. I've learned my body for years and, you know, I've worked with a few top coaches before. So if I don't, I struggle to listen to people, you know?
Yeah.
Because I've always looked best when I've done it myself, in my opinion.
Yeah. Jase, have you always worked with Jamie, and is your training style quite same, or do you have an input to his training, or do you just do your own thing? But obviously you guys train together, don't you, sometimes? Oh, Jase is cut out in the way.
He's been pulled over. He's been pulled over for being on fucking Zoom in his fucking car.
Fucking M25. Well, like with Jase,
you can answer the question.
I can answer. No, but Jase is, you know, like when I work with Jase, like obviously I know he's got quite a lot of knowledge and he knows his body. So, you know, it's when I try to work with experienced guys, I try to make it like a two-way thing. I don't, because like, say like I was to go work with Andy, I know Andy's clearly competed for a very long time. So he knows what he's on about. And, you know, I feel like you always get a better relationship with a coach if you're bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like when it's a dictatorship, it's a bit more like, okay, you got to do this, but you're like, why am I doing this? What do you think about this? And I feel that's when you build a better, like if you look at any of the top guys who have coaches like Phil and Haney, you know, they're very close, they're like brothers almost. And I think that's why they bring always such a good package generally because they have that rapport with each other. Yeah. You know, and Jase is very similar to like that with me. Like we spoke last night, you know, and I'd put my ideas across and then he'd be like, okay, but do you not think this? And I'd be like, okay, yeah, that could work, but this is why I think this. And we kind of bounce and he was like, okay, yeah, I agree with that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's in my opinion been what's kind of changed in the long run.
I sort of flagged out back.
You missed your question, I answered it for you, mate. But you can have it.
Ask again.
No, I was just asked, obviously Jamie was just speaking about his training diet, but I dropped his phone now.
Oh God.
No, I've got it. I'm just listening.
Yeah, I was just asking Jamie about your training. Obviously, I was wondering if Jamie had an input in your training or do you just do kind of your own thing? But obviously, Jamie's kind of coached you for obviously quite a while now, so I was just wondering how that went.
No, and this may sound cliche, like Jamie genuinely knows my body. Like, you know, I'm not going to sit here and lie. When he said do 2 days, I looked and said, this dude's absolutely crazy. He said, what's he going on about? I said, I get in the gym and I clock watching session 1. What's he talking about session 2? But, you know, when you roll with a new coach and, you know, I was living with Jamie, you just sort of roll with the punches, you know. And, you know, I wasn't 100% in my head, but it was the best I've ever looked. So there was a reason why. I don't know if it, because at the end of the day, it's just about output. You know, whether you get that output from a second session, whether you get that output from cardio, whether you get that output from steps. At the end of the day, if you're in a deficit, it's about output. But, you know, I don't care. I'll talk about this freely. When you're using growth hormone, when you're using real gear, you can get away with doing 2 sessions. But it's just not deemed normal. You know, why is it not deemed normal? Because most people work 9 to 5, you know? Yeah. So I just roll with the punches. I'm always like, Jamie, you know what, I trust you, just go with it. And I because I came from a progressive overload background, you'll see my snips, I still always put out like a heavy bench press or a heavy squat, because that's just like my passion for training. But when it comes to prep, I'm just like, you know what, it's prep 12 weeks, I'll listen to what he has to say. You know, don't get me wrong, there is some days where I'm dragging ass and I'm like, this is a lot of volume, but I'm just like, you know what, when I employ someone, I just listen.
Yeah.
And I've got to sort of turn my coach head off and listen.
Things would be me and you in a minute, Jimmy.
Hey?
Things it's a way to be me and you in a minute. They both got out.
Literally. No, but the thing, like, you know, with like when we were prepping with Jase, you know, we'd still assess when he was tired and that in a certain sense. Like I remember, you know, I remember he trained legs once, and I don't think he trained legs for like 10 days after that, but he couldn't. Do you know what I mean? So we didn't push him to the point where he had to train again. I was like, look, okay, rest him until 100%, because I think, you know, a lot of it is knowing when to rest and when to push him.
Yeah,
Hardest part.
But then it's like anything, you sort of get accustomed and adjust to the volume. Yeah. You know, when I first did progressive overload, I was beat for 5 or 6 days. So you sort of, and it's the fun side about prep, because you learn your body, you learn sort of resilience, like what your physique can take.
Yeah.
You know, because when I was doing them 2 days, that last prep in September, it was a 7-week prep with no cardio. You know, and don't get me wrong, I've done preps with cardio and without, but it's nice to walk away from that prep and say, you know what, I know if I don't want to do cardio at one prep, I can get away with it. So from that prep, I actually learned something.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was kind of in the same boat as you, Jamie. Like, I kind of noticed last year, doing the amount of volume I was trying to do, my body just wasn't recovering the same way as it used to. And I was just like, it's probably just down to age. And like my joints were getting sore, my body just looked a bit more tired. And I refused to, like, Andy fucking kept telling me all the time, like, cut your volume back. And I was like, this is what I've always done. I was so stubborn in my own head. I was like, this is what I've done forever. But then it was just that point, like, my body's just like, it's not happening anymore. You're just not going to recover the same as you were when you're younger. And obviously now I've changed back to like more frequency, but less volume, more heavy sets. And it's worked very well for my body this year. So it's like, you really do have to adapt to your age as you kind of go forward.
I think as well, like, that's the thing, that no prep's ever different. It's always, no prep's ever the same. It's always different. Yeah. And like you said, when you're getting older, I know we're not by any means old, but, you know, when you're 21, 22, you're a machine, and you don't care. You just go. You know what I mean? Like, I've definitely had to be smarter with training now, especially over the last few years, because I think when we train like that, like, I know you train hard as fuck, so, you know, when we've trained like that for such a long time, like, we do have these little niggles that are you know, around, and we've got to be a bit smarter as we get older. Like, even today, like I told you before, like, I twinned my chest today. Mm-hmm. You know, and the old me probably would have like been like, okay, I'll carry on training. But the me today, I was like, okay, that don't feel right. Okay, let's go train back instead. You know what I mean? And then get it that straight away. Like, I wouldn't, you know, the old me would have been like, fuck it, let's just go into chest and just carry on going. So I think as we get older, we just got to be a bit smarter. Luckily, it's not like anything serious, but it's definitely a little like chest strain. And you know what that was actually from is I went back to doing some heavy dead stops, which I haven't done in a long time because I train a lot of time retention, especially on my chest, because I'm always very aware of a tear, and it's like that's my worst fear. Today I did some heavy dead stopping, and I think when you're like us and you're strong, that's when injuries become a problem. Like 4 or 5 plates on an incline press to dead stop is no joke. You know what I mean? And I hadn't done it for such a long time. And when I went, I had 4.5 on. When I went down, it felt okay. I did 4 for like 8 reps previously, so I thought, okay, I'll go 4.5. Went down, and as I pressed up, I felt like a little crunch in the top of my chest, and I was like, okay, let's not train chest. Let's just go train back. You know what I mean? And I think the old me would have been totally different, and I probably would have had a big major injury. So I do feel like you've just got to be smarter as you get a little bit older and not as stupid, whereas we are stupid when we're younger. We're stupid with everything. Training. I think we're less health conscious. I don't know about you guys. When I was a bit younger, I didn't really get blood work done. I didn't get IVs done. I didn't really take much health supplements. You know what I mean? I just kind of, you think you're invincible when you're 21, 22. As you start to get a little bit older, you realize that, you've got to be in this for the long run.
You learn, you see what's kind of went wrong with people, what's if they've not done like the things that we're meant to do. It's like, it's serious. It's like fucking, it can cause you your life in like a long-term effect. And so it's something like a lot of people really need to think about, which they don't. And they really do need to think about this kind of health supplements and blood work and kind of see where they're needing to correct certain things. And it's just a area a lot of people don't pay attention to at the moment. Have either of you actually had any serious injuries over the years?
Oh,
None at all.
Still a baby, mate.
Just what he said. He's only like 13 years old. Of course, he doesn't have any fucking injuries.
Still got these fresh joints.
You're not old like us, mate. We're fucking old.
I think I pulled my calf one year. I remember that.
I do it every week.
No, but I do also, what I will touch on, me and Jamie are quite heavily in getting physio. Jamie gets 3-4 times a week, and he has a stretching coach. But I do think I saw massive changes in my physique when I did actually home into sports massage. I'm not talking 4 days a week, but I think once a week. If it's a cost thing, once every 2 weeks. I do think that makes a massive part in bringing out details in your physique and performance.
Yeah, I've been going to this physio now for about a year, and I think actually, Jamie, I messaged you a couple of weeks before I went to him to do like my bicep. I've had a bicep injury for about 4 years. It plays up now and again. And I remember saying to you, and you were like, you just need to get someone who fucking batters the fuck out of you. So I found this guy. I've been going to him every week for a year, and the absolute difference in like my training, that's mental. Like if I could do 4 times a week, I would as well. But that once a week like battering is just like, it just frees everything up and everything feels a billion times better.
Yeah.
So
I think it's overlooked massively. I think
100%. I think it's funny because like people, they won't fork out for like a 40-45 pound session with a solid physio, but they'll waste that shit on other crap that we spend in bodybuilding, like new t-shirts and new vests and new shoes to wear in the gym and shit. It's like, exactly. It's like put it into a physio that's going to actually, change your physique.
One of the things Jamie definitely taught me, because I was still like blasé, I was like, I can do this. Everything you do, you should look at as an investment in your bodybuilding. Because I would be like, with massage, now I'm all right. But then I got into the mindset, it's an investment into bodybuilding. But I used to be the guy, chicken, I'll get the frozen chicken breast, you know what I mean? But, the quality of everything you do is an investment into your bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just something you kind of learn as you go along. But again, it's like what you're saying there, what we're speaking about before is like what we're doing when we're younger, we can't get away with now. So like getting a physio once a week is just such a massive impact to your progress and just even your performance in the gym. But it's something you kind of need to learn. You'll kind of get to a point where like everything's hurting, your joints are sore, you've got a knot, something's not working properly. Then it's like, I need to see a physio, and you'll see the benefit from that. And then it also comes like again how much cost do you want to put in to your progress. But then if you really do want to go somewhere, you're going to have to invest money in this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're going to have to. You know, and unfortunately, not everyone has a sports massage sponsor. Not everyone has that. So you sort of got to, you know, I know you two, I know myself, we've all pushed up heavy. And what's the first thing that goes on my lower back?
Mm-hmm.
But if I invest in sports massage, get my lower back flushed out, I can then train.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the thing. Like I try to get like, you know, 2 to 3 treatments a week. And do you know what? The funny thing is I hate getting my chest massage, right? And I haven't had it done for 3 weeks. And then I do this today and I'm just like, I was like, I knew that my chest was tight because I could feel it. And that's the thing, like, if I don't stay on top of my treatment, I just find I get injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think because of the way
definitely.
I train with a lot of, like I said, I train quite high volume. You know, I train twice a day, so my body takes a battering. So if I'm not on top of recovery, I really do struggle. Like I get stretched 3 times a week now. I have a guy come in the morning and stretches me out. Because if my flexibility is not on 100%, then, you know, when I'm training legs, my lower back get pumped. And I'm one of those people that, like, I'd rather put money into it and train how I want to train than every time going to the gym being like, oh, my lower back's fucked, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like that it just would make the whole process not enjoyable for me. So, you know, I'm very adamant that I need to be on point with all this stuff in order for me to train the way I enjoy to train and I want to train. And, you know, so I try to stay as injury free as possible, because I think we're always, as we get older, you know, we're always going to have niggles, like your knees are a little sore, your elbows sore, whatever. Like Andy said, biceps always like playing on. I think if we're not on top of it 24/7, then that's when a big injury happens.
Yeah, definitely. Greg, did I tell you a story about a physio in Aberdeen and what she did to me? I'm certain I've told you this story. Right, so this
actual one,
this
or is
put
it
me
just
off.
like something that was painful?
No. So like this put me off physio for like a wee while, right? I don't even remember her name, so I can't even tell her name, but she obviously doesn't watch this. So like I was getting ready for the Arnold, right? And she was like, what show is it you're doing again? And I was like, the Arnold Classic in Madrid. And she's like, oh, that's a big show, isn't it? I was like, yeah, it's probably one of the biggest shows I can do as a junior. And she was like, all right, okay, I'll give you a good luck charm. I was like, what the fuck's she on about? So I'm on my back, and she fucking kisses, she kisses my forehead. I'm like, oh mate, and then like, oh fucking hell, I didn't go to a physio for about fucking 2.5 years after that point, mate. I was traumatized, man.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funny.
Oh fucking hell. So I make sure you find yourself a good physio. That's that's not our story.
Don't go to one of those Thai physios. I guarantee they're not the right.
Oh man, I couldn't believe she did that, but funny story for everyone to hear. So
you get the same treatment like throughout the week, Jamie, or is it different people like doing different things, like a chiropractor, deep tissue, cryo? So
I have a lady here that I have, Paul, who comes around and she just does like soft tissue work. Then I always have a guy called Dr. San. If I've got any injuries, I go to see him. So I'm going to go see him about this pec on Monday. He's like an Olympic. He was working with the Olympic team, but he's like an osteo. He clicks you, but he does a lot of dry needling. He's very clued up. Like, if I've ever had knee injuries, like I had my bad knees once. I had a bad knee. I couldn't squat. And he literally went there. He started clicking my knee, and no joke, I could squat straight after. It's kind of like a magician. So I always go to see him when I have any problems. Do you know what I mean? I had a shoulder injury all off season, which was funny enough. I come off cycle for sort of, I think I was off cycle for about 10 weeks, and my shoulder was just fucking battered. I go back on cycle, and my shoulder was completely fine. You know, so I was always going to see him about the shoulder injury. You know, so I go use him for injuries. I have someone just for soft tissue work. And then, I have someone just come stretch me. So I'm trying to hit every sort of angle. And obviously, it's an expense, but it's, luckily I'm in a position where it's affordable for me to do. Because I also do IV every week as well, glutathione IV. weekly. But I'm lucky that I'm in a position that I can afford to do that. But I mean, it's an investment back into myself regardless. And, you know, even when I was younger, I probably would have found a way to afford it, but I probably wouldn't be able to afford the volume that I did. I've always been that type of person that if I believe it's going to benefit me, I'll find a way to afford it. You know, I'll sacrifice going and having a Starbucks every day or whatever. And I think that's what a lot of people don't do. I'll you know, I won't go buy myself a fucking new pair of shoes. I'll just put it into that. And that's how I always was when I was younger. So, you know, now I'm lucky that I'm in a position where I can do that, but it is an expense. But, you know, like I've always said, it's an investment back into yourself. And I think it's a thing that a lot of people overlook.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's obviously a very expensive kind of game if you're wanting to get like 3 treatments a week and stuff like that. But sometimes even for people who are investing quite a lot, even into bodybuilding, sometimes like 1 treatment a week can be a bit over the edge for them. It's just, I guess it's just the progress in the sport. How much do you want out of it? How much do you want to get back into it? Definitely. What was a way to ask as well? Yeah, what's your future plans then? Obviously, kind of last year didn't pan out how you wanted. What's your next kind of show?
To be honest, it's you know, like last year was a bit of a just not a good year. You know what was really like frustrating is that I felt like I was coming to that show great, and then it was just kind of like I weighed in at 211.8. I competed at 203. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I weighed in on Friday, and then I just got hammered with so many diuretics, and by the time I was on stage, just looked like shit. Yeah. And then, you know, to try save my body after that, I mean, I did the UK show 2 weeks after, and my body would just.
By then you were just like once.
My body was
diuretics have a loop effect, you know.
Yeah, we use Lasix, like Chris used Lasix, and you know, I think that's probably one of the strongest diuretics you've got. And I think to try get back from overkill with that, and I don't believe it's. I never ever say it's Chris's fault, because at the end of the day, you know, I went into the show and I was like, all right, Chris, can we push? Because I need just coming peeled. You know what I mean? And I was like, let's just push it, because I want to be peeled on stage. And I kind of like played the wrong game, because at the end of the day, they're all fucking massive and peeled. You know what I mean? And I was like, let's just come and dice to the bone. I don't care about anything else. And, you know, I think I kind of pushed it on Chris to push me a bit harder. And it kind of fucked up massively for me in a sense of fullness. And, you know, and when my physique's not full, I look shit. It's as simple as that. And then, you know, to try rectify it any later, I just couldn't even get anything back, because I think the diuretics just were in my system still for so long. But at the end of the day, it was a great learning curve, you know what I mean? And that was a really good thing for me, because this year I was so adamant to be bigger, which was sort of my approach back in March. I was like, you know, I've got to be big, I've got to be big, I've got to be big. Like that was the kind of my mindset going into the show. And I feel like that was a good thing. And it's similar this year, but, you know, I haven't really locked a show date yet. I mean, I enjoy the process of getting in shape. I don't really enjoy being on stage anymore, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like I enjoy like the process of dieting down, but I don't really get a buzz off stage. I get more of a buzz off seeing my clients on stage. Yeah. You know, but I mean, I would like to jump in a show this year, but I kind of want to go in with a different mindset of just turn up, because I believe I'll probably look better if I just rock up and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to compete tomorrow, you know, rather than stressing myself out. Because what was funny was when that European show was on, they predicted me at like 3rd place and I placed like dead last, near last. I got predicted like 3rd place. I was like, fuck's sake. When I seen the thing, they're like, he's going to be like a dark horse, and I just got smoked. I remember I was actually backstage pumping up, and I said to Steph,
I think that also comes from being a coach. You just got a lot of pressure. Like even you boys, you know, everyone's like, Andy, what show are you doing? And you know, when you get that 20, 30 times a week, it's untold pressure that people don't understand.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. And I think when you're a pro, like, you know that, you know, everyone's expecting something in it. You're not just like, everyone's expecting something, everyone's going to see it. it's a different ball game. So, you know, I remember pumping up backstage and I couldn't get a pump to save my life. And I just said to Steph, I was like, fuck this pump up. I said, let's just get this. I said, let's just go on stage and go get sushi after. I said, we'll go on stage, I'll fuck off and I'll go get sushi. I didn't even turn up to the night show. Said to the guy at the backstage, it's like, can I just go? And he was like, if you want. I was like, sound, it's in a bit. I was like, I'm just gonna go get sushi with Steph. You know, because I just knew I knew I wasn't where I needed to look. I couldn't get a pump backstage. You know, I knew it wasn't my day, and I was just like, right, let's just get this over and done with and fuck off, basically. So I wanted to just go into, you know, my next show. I don't really want it. I just want to go with a different approach and just turn up and just see what happens.
Yeah.
I believe like when I notice when I'm chilled with that and I don't put any pressure on myself, I just look better. So, you know, I want to go to, I said to Jase this week, I said, oh, you know, I want to go to compete in a country that I want to go see, just turn up to the show, compete, and then go see the country straight after. You know what I mean? And I think I've got to approach it slightly different for me to enjoy it. Because if I just start to put loads of pressure saying I'm doing this show, I just know like my physique probably won't show on stage how I want it to show.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people take it obviously very, very seriously. When you do that, the fun aspect and obviously like where your mind's at, it sometimes doesn't work out in how you want it to be, even though you've done everything to the letter. When you're going into it, your mindset, you've kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself to do well. And as you know, as a coach, like that can have a massive effect on how you look. And there's sometimes when you're dug that deep in a hole, there's no coming back out of it, and it just won't be your day. So how you're probably approaching it, obviously, if that's how you want to approach shows, it's probably going to work very well for you.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I think, you know, and I think with prep, we kind of, as bodybuilders, I don't know about you, but as I've got older, I've relaxed a lot more with how I prep, and I don't take it so seriously anymore. And I thought, as I started to do that, I started to look better, and I started to sort of, you know, my physique started to come to life a little bit more when I kind of just chilled out a little bit with it. Because, you know, when we're younger, I think we think that bodybuilding's a be all and end all. But at the end of the day, if you don't win a fucking show, you don't die. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just another show. There's fucking shows for the next however many years. And I think that's one thing that I try to do now is not take it too seriously. Because back in the day, I used to shut myself off from everyone. You know, I used to be like hardcore bodybuilder. You know, I'd shut myself off from my family, my friends, and I'd just live in a hole for 12, 15 weeks, 16 weeks or whatever. And then I'd come out and I'd be like, fucking hell, I've not spoke to anyone. So now I just try to take a different approach. And I don't know, it seems to just be more, just enjoyable again. Because I remember I burnt out really bad in 2016 or 17, I think. And I was just like, I hate bodybuilding because of the way I approached it. And I had to just have some time off. I just remember taking like 6 to 8 weeks off completely. And I just had to take a step back to take a step forward. So, you know, I feel like that approach has helped me massively over the last few years.
Yeah, I guess everybody's got their way how they need to approach things. What about you, Jase? Do you have, you going to tell us what show or what's your plan?
Oh, I genuinely don't. Mine's been a weird year. So obviously I did the classic show. I just made weight by the cusp. So, you know, it's a hard one for me because I made weight by the cusp. At the end of the day, I jumped in the show 5 weeks early. So if I had 5 more weeks, would I have made weight smoother? So that's the convo I have with Jamie every now and then. Obviously, I'm sitting in between a super due to shape and classic, but it's like I still want to have one more stab at classic because, like I said, I've not seen myself at 100. You know, if I do that 5 weeks, I might make weight smooth. You know, if I don't, I might not make weight smooth. So it's a hard one. Obviously, I did the off season, which was very well. Got to the biggest I got to about 132, still in good condition. And then, you know what, because I did the March prep, because I did the September prep, I just needed time off. So obviously I cleared out, took 5 months off gear, fully, cold turkey. And obviously I've lost a lot of size and I was like, I'm not going to push, I'm going to train instinctively. So I said to Jade, you know what, I need to get, people don't realize, people like going to do shows, so I've done a show every year for 5 years. You know, and the one time when you push up properly, it's like a prep. It's not like, I'll hit 7,000 calories today, I'll have a donut, hit my calories. I was pushing up like a prep. So again, before I go supers again, because like I want to do really well, I feel like I've got to have one more stab because if I do prep, because I said to Jamie, let's get to that, I'm starting now from 116. I'm not starting from 132. So there's a big difference. And obviously I'm still only 27. So I'm like, I can have one more stab. See at 100 because Jamie's my coach. I say, can I make weight? He says yes. I say, okay. Don't do a 6-week prep. If you do longer, you'll do it. But then in one set, I'm like, I do want to go in supers because like you've told me, you'll do well and stuff. So maybe one more year, stab at a show. It might, or just going to get back into the rhythm of dieting and having structure. But genetically, I'm quite lucky. I never lose too much. And genetically, when I start training again, I don't lose too much because now I've just been, I can't remember the last time I've strung a full training week together in probably 6 weeks. So like I said to Jamie, write me a diet, let's get back on some structure and just see what my body does. So, we have said, this could be a potential, but again, no pressure, because now when I'm picking the shows, like I said to Jamie, I can't do this show because I've got clients in the grafters and show. I won't enjoy it. I can't do this show. So I'm looking at it like I'm going to just start dieting to get back in nick. I might get 6 weeks in and say I want to push up again. I might get 6 weeks in and say let's just keep dieting.
You never know with Jase, mate. You never know. He could go through with it. He could just change his mind.
Yeah, so it's like last year I think I had a very good look, and that was off 6 weeks. So I'm like, hard for me is like, let's give it 10 and see what happens. So and then push up again because it was the first push up. I didn't I got heavy quick, but I was like, I have to fucking maintain this. Like I wasn't, because I'd never pushed like that. I was like, shit, I have to eat like this every day, and I say off season's harder than prep. So I sort of was just like, I need and because I was traveling to Turkey, Greece and coming back, it's sort of like I needed a break. So I've had my break and I called Jamie yesterday and just said, can we put a little diet in place and just see what happens?
Yeah. Love that kind of attitude towards everything because I find like, obviously Jamie spoke about like as you get more kind of relaxed, older, you get a bit more relaxed and more experience you have that you don't ease off, but you kind of know that, right, I don't need to eat every 2.5 hours on the dot. I don't have to like set alarms for my meals and stuff, but I still feel very like a hermit almost. I still feel like I get like that.
Because you work with Patrick now, don't you? I know Patrick's very on, like he's like super strict because Patrick tried to work with me when was it, like 2019, and I just said to Patrick, I said I can't do this. I was like, this is too strict for me, you know what I mean, because this isn't the way I approach bodybuilding. So if I do this, I just won't enjoy it, you know what I mean. And it's just because it's totally alien for me, whereas Chris was always very relaxed with me because he kind of knew my body over years, because I worked with Chris from 2016 to 2020, basically. So he knew my body quite well and knew that, I could have a cheat meal once a week and it'd be fine. And he knew I trained hard. So that's why I always tended to go back to work with Chris, because he knew exactly how I worked. I remember, I think it was 2019 off season, 2020, straight after I just prepped for, did my own prep, I messaged Patrick and he was like, look, I was like, what's your approach and blah, blah, blah. And we spoke for a little bit. And then he told me the way he approaches things. And I was just like, this is not for me. You know what I mean? Because we all have our own ways of, it's too strict for me personally. Like, I've always had cheat meals in my preps, and that's how I seem to just benefit. Not only I feel physically, but mentally. I've very much struggled to be like, I'd just go back to how I was when I was a kid. You know what I mean? How anal I was, and I'd really struggle with that. But obviously it works for it clearly works for a lot of guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for years I've done the proper like dirty off seasons. Like I didn't give a fuck. Like, as long as I got as big as humanly possible, I didn't care. Like so like going into this past off season with Patrick, I felt that that's the direction I needed to go if I was to make kind of like serious progress without the accumulated kind of fat that I usually get when I'm off season. So because I'm the biggest I've ever been, but I've also managed to strip away a shit ton of fat with it as well. So
I thought it was actually the day like got tighter and bigger. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's a total different off-season approach. Like
exactly, yeah.
I mean, my off-season approach now is I just try not to get too heavy and too fat, because if I'm trying to make 212, it's just not beneficial for me.
Yeah.
And like we all have these different approaches, and it's just trying to figure out what clicks for us and works for us. Like you've got Roden, Mr. Olympia, and he just gets fat as hell. You know what I mean? But clearly, we can't say it doesn't work for him because he's Mr. Olympia. You know what I mean? And I think it's just finding what approach works for you, not only physically but mentally. Because at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, there's no point you doing it. And it's just making sure you can make progress without hating what you're doing. Because if you enjoy it, you're going to make even more progress.
Yeah. Yeah,
not everybody could just do the same kind of approach. But I mean, again, we spoke about this like last week. That's why there's so many coaches, so many different approaches, and not one coach is going to work for every client. I mean, some people couldn't, like you just said, that you couldn't do the way Patrick does stuff. But I mean, it works great for Andy, how structured he likes to be. So for him, it's a perfect coach. And it's just more relaxed for some people, and they'll be loving, like, obviously, having you as a coach. I guess everybody has their own way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because you're working with JP now, right?
Yeah.
How are you finding that?
I mean, I love a train. I love training heavy. I love like kind of zoning myself in for like those big heavy sets. Like I've always loved that way. Like I said, the volume for me kind of came down, and I'm putting 2 body parts in one session, and it has been my best year of progress, just like sheer thickness and size. And I mean, but the way obviously you guys were just saying there about the best way to make progress is treating your off season like a prep. That's literally what I had to do this year, and like my body went up to 128.5. That's the most I've ever been. But literally, I was like so full, so uncomfortable all the time. It was just literally driving that every single day to try and get every ounce of progress out of that. So it was fucking tough in that sense. But like, if that's what you need to do for progress, you need to do that. If you want to go somewhere, and you need to hammer that every day. I mean, it's not like you can just fuck about and like go and eat what you want and stuff. If you want to make progress, you have to kind of sacrifice every day.
You know what, I think when you're at the top of the amateur scene, I feel like that's when there's probably the most pressure for you to, because you're so close to turning pro. You feel like that's like, I found that when I turned pro, a massive stress was like stress came off my shoulders in a sense, because no one really expects fuck all from you then. You know what I mean? Like the bottom of the pile again, which is quite nice. And especially like even like what happened after 2020 is nice, because no one now expects nothing of me. You know what I mean? Because I feel like when we got pressure on us, and like if I was to talk about 2 supers that would look to be turning pro, it'd probably be you 2. You know what I mean? In the next shows, because I don't really see this. Like Lewis just went pro this week recently, and he was probably the only other super who I'd say was dangerous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like last year I was looking around at the super scene, or looking at the guys who could turn pro, and there is a lot of good guys. So I said to myself, I was like, if I'm going to turn pro and beat these guys, like I'm going to have to go 100% from here till the show. Like no fucking about. I'm going to have to do each day on a plan, pick it off like to the letter. And if I do that and I'm still not there, then I know that they were just better, because I gave everything that day. As like cliche as that sounds, I want to make sure I done everything 100%, and I can say to myself like, fuck, they were just better because I gave everything this year to try and be cool.
What's cool is you know the other supers, and you know Andy's doing that, you know Connor's doing that. You know, it sort of pushes you because you know they're not missing a meal.
Yeah.
But you know what? I thought you got massively overlooked in the last show, because I had you and the Italian guy winning that show. I think I messaged you about that straight after the show.
Yeah. I mean, 3 or 4 people messaged me quite similar, and it was at the end of the day, obviously it's the judge's call. But I mean, it was quite good to have a lot of people message me and say that. Obviously, it's very good to hear that from people, and like, because it is a bit of I mean, you were close, but you weren't just there. So it's good to have people kind of say, you know, we're at the top.
You I might just not stirring the pot. You and Andy are competing against each other, though, right?
Yeah.
Which is going to be good.
Arnold.
No, but it's good because, you know, Andy won't be like, oh, I'm going to miss a meal tonight. So it's nice to have that sort of you know, you're still friends at the end of the day. You're not going to hate each other, whatever happens.
Yeah.
So it's nice to sort of have that as well. So no, do you have to qualify before it as well or not usually?
Yeah, I'm at the Graftism. Andy's doing, is it Bodies by O?
Bodies by O, yeah.
We'll both be there anyway. No, but it's nice to see, man. It's going to be a competitive year, so it'll be good to see, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I was actually speaking to, who was it? Dan McNabb this morning, and he's doing the same show as me, and we were speaking about, obviously, me and Andy, and we just said it's kind of very cool what you guys have, even though, like, you're probably the two closest rivals to each other, but like the friendship you have, and it's like more just, I'll push you and you push me, and it's like,
yeah, it's got to be that.
And the better man's going to win. So
yes, it's not the end of the day, man. It's bodybuilding, you know. When I hear guys like blocking who they're competing on Instagram, I'm like, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah,
yeah.
Especially because you put a lot into it as well. Like, it's not we're not fighting each other or whatever. You know what I mean?
no.
It's there's a lot of respect lost. I feel like that's why I hate when like you got these amateurs talking smack, because I'm just like, shut up, like, do you know what I mean? I'm not going to name any names, like, but it just don't make sense to me. I'm like, why are you talking shit? Like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't. It's bodybuilding. We're not going into a ring and fucking knocking each other out.
No, we've said this on previous podcasts.
Hey,
on you go. You finish.
Sorry.
No, on you go. I'll let you go.
I didn't know what you said. I was just repeating you.
Well, I'll carry on then. No, I was just saying that we've said in previous the previous episodes where it's like, for me, I know who I'm up against. They've fucking like went the lengths to go there, so I know they've put in the work, and I've got a lot of appreciation and respect for that. So how I see people like I'm up against, I don't see it in any like any anger at all. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for the guys I'm standing on stage with. So I want to be friends with these guys. I'm not there to go to war. I mean, I'm there to win. But at the end of the day, like, I've got a lot of time and respect for these guys because they put in the work as well. So, like, obviously, me and Andy have like trained together for years and years, been best friends for years and years. So I've got nothing but respect for him. So, like, if I get to stand on stage, that's just a great memory for me.
And to be honest, at the just doing the Arnold's in the UK alone, it's going to be in a crazy atmosphere.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, forget the placing, forget all that. Like that, you know, to be able to say, you know, I did that Arnold's. I know everyone who's going to that show, so it's going to be a nice buzz. You know, nice for the podcast, nice for yourself as athletes. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very busy, but obviously a lot of there's just going to be like blown away by the standard there.
Because I was saying to Greg, I was like, we should like build up some sort of fucking hype towards it. So I was like, I'm going to start like insulting him publicly on Instagram and stuff like that. But I'll comment something, and then 2 seconds later, I'm texting me like, all right, mate, what you doing? What you up to? Like, you know what I mean? It's fake as fuck. Yeah. So it's like, it's better if we just kind of like just obviously make it like more natural than that. So, yeah, I mean, not many people can say they're kind of standing on stage with their best mates. So it's definitely, especially at that level as well. I mean, you know, it's rare it happens even at like kind of regional level. So that's going to be.
It's one of them shows. Like, if you win your, like, I know you can get your pro card in Lithuania or whatever, but if you win your pro card at the Arnold's, there is a different standard, isn't it? Like, I've won my pro card at the Arnold's.
That's really why we want to say this. I mean, everybody knows like the Arnold Classic winners, but even if as an amateur, like you could name the amateurs who have won the pro card at the Arnold, it's a big honor in a sense. Like, that's where I got my pro card. I beat some good fucking guys, like, and that's how I got my pro card. So I guess
because I always say it as where you win your pro card determines where you're going to go next. Look at example, Blessing won it at the Spain Arnold. You know, not a lot of people saying he's done this and that. He's still getting top 5 at the biggest shows. You know, because he's won his pro card at a big show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's definitely that indicator that you kind of will eventually go somewhere. So, Jamie, you'll know as well, like the UKBFF British Junior, that used to be in my opinion, that used to be the title that you would aim for as a junior, because if you got that, then you know that something's going to happen like down the line, and you're going to bounce from there. So
yeah, like a lot of the great, like the top guys in the UK came from that junior class. I mean, like even when we competed against each other, there was some very, very good bodybuilders in that class there. I think didn't Aziz win that and then went on into the overall and like did a little bit of damage?
I think it was 2014. Sorry, 16.
Yeah, it was a year after. Yeah. Who won that one then? Who won our 2040?
That is it Jamal? That Asian guy?
He actually turned pro at the Amateur Olympia, didn't he?
Yeah, there you go, yeah. And then Drew Walker came second.
Yeah, and then so it was a good show, like.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
That British was always stacked for juniors. It was always a hard show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in 2013, I had Matt Townsend, Dave Young, Owen Powell, Harry Harris, and fucking Michael Hargreaves in that class in the top 6. So that was, look at what they've all went and gone on and done. So it's definitely that was the showcase show.
It's crazy. It's crazy to look like when you name that top 6. How many of them are still bodybuilding now?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. It's,
you got to like, people don't really. This game's longevity. You got to take your hats off to yourself. You know, I think half of them names are not competing now.
No, I think there's probably 2 in there that was competing. If you name, I'm not even seen Jamal do a pro show yet. And he was 2018 when he turned pro.
Bro, yeah. So you know you got to take your hats off. You know, you've kept chipping away and climbing that ladder, so it's bound to come when you tick the boxes.
Yeah. Do you think some people just get it a bit too easy and then kind of just like, especially when it happens young, and they're like, nah, I'm gonna. You know what I mean?
I believe like some people progress early and then some people progress later.
That's just what I mean.
I feel like, especially in the junior category, I feel like you've got guys who are very good, but then don't progress much after a junior. And then you've got other guys who, you know, are okay juniors and then start to get better as they get more progressive in the sport and have more time in the sport. Because I mean, like, you know, you've got a lot of, do you remember Stuart, what's his name?
Core.
The guy, Stuart Core. Do you remember him as a junior? It was like,
fucking mental,
But the progress from his junior to his supers kind of didn't really progress as much.
Yeah,
you know, and then you had like people like, say, Rude Boy, like Ricardo, and his junior days was never great. But then, you know, as he got older and older, when he turned pro at 30, he was like very good. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like certain people sort of peak early and then struggle to maximize from then on, and I feel like others kind of peak a bit later.
Yeah. You mentioned Aziz there. What's he doing now?
I don't know. Last show Aziz did was 2019.
PCA, was it not?
Ben Weeder.
Was it?
Yeah, he came second he came second to some guy. He beat Harry actually, but you know, I think he didn't help himself because he was very cocky on stage. I remember he actually came. He asked Jim. He asked to come out to the Beast. That's what he wanted his name to come out to. You know, and Aziz is a very, very good bodybuilder, but I don't know whether he's, you know, sometimes overconfident, which isn't a bad thing, but he's a very good bodybuilder. Just, you know, sometimes I think he might be just a little bit overconfident and he comes across wrong to the judges.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's always going to be a problem when he's, you know, at a show.
When he's in shape, he's always going to be. But I think he's just a bit quiet and social. I don't know if he's taking time away, but you know, like I always say to guys, it's the guys that are quiet and social that just rock up and do a show.
Yeah.
Just ones.
Yeah.
You know, especially I know we're in a social media driven industry, but you know, we still, you know, rock up to a show and be like, I didn't know you were doing the show. There's still a few guys out there like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the guy we had Aaron Hudson on the podcast long ago, and like he literally posted photos like 4 weeks out for the British. Like no one knew he was really kind of doing. He just kind of popped up at the British. And it's just he's one of these guys that doesn't want to really display himself too much.
Yeah, again, that's the sort of thing about the pressure. Some people just hate the pressure.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the side of bodybuilding that's not spoke about, the pressure. You know, some people just hate it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think Greg, we're coming up to an hour. I think so.
Half an hour, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't want to keep the boys for too much longer, and I'm quite para that Jase is going to end up fucking doing himself in while he's on the podcast.
I've not even got a driver's license. But that's the truth.
Fuck's sake. So yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. Obviously, I'm the worst for it this week, so hopefully we'll rectify that. But we want to thank the boys for coming on and giving their 2 cents and everything. And obviously, we know you're both extremely busy, so to take an hour out of your day to kind of just chat shit and kind of get your opinions across. It does mean a lot to us, and
appreciate it. Sure.
Yeah, we hope like whatever you go on to do this year, it's a fruitful one, and you obviously do really well. So, and obviously with your coaching businesses, hope they keep flying and whatnot. So,
I'll genuinely be cheering you on both at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be there. We'll be actually both episodes. So, I'm the audience.
We really appreciate boys coming on. Obviously, it was quite good to have you guys in the podcast. And get us, as Andy said, just your views and opinions on stuff and how you guys have approached coaching and training over the years. So no, it's been really good. Thank you guys for coming on.
Good to be on.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining in. Hopefully,
thanks, guys.
Podcast.